Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 11 of the Lebanese Biodiversity podcast. My name is Mira, and I am an entomologist. Today, we will be speaking to two members from the Diaries of the Ocean NGO, discussing mainly their mission and some of their current projects. We will be speaking to Jane Abou Rjeily. Jane is a 31-year-old architect, and Rawan al Jamal, who is a 25-year-old marine biologist. Before we begin, we would like to tell you that this episode was recorded prior to the recent war on Lebanon. As a result, some of the NGO's ongoing efforts, including the Sand Dunes Restoration Project in Al Kharayeb, south of Lebanon, are temporarily on hold. We hope this episode sheds light on their commitment to environmental conservation across Lebanon and the work they have been doing, from beach safety initiatives to marine habitat restoration. And on a lighter note, this episode was recorded in summer and included some important information to keep in mind when you are on the beach. So you may. Hello, Jane, and hello, Rawan, and thank you for being with me today. How are you doing?
Hi,
Hello,
Mira.
Mira. Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you, Mira. It's a very exciting opportunity and very nice talking to you even through Zoom.
Well, thank you for being on here. It's very exciting for me as well. Jane, we'll start with
Yes.
you because I wrote the name by alphabetical order on my Word file.
Okay.
Can you please introduce us to yourself and tell us a bit about your background?
Okay, sure. I'm 31 years old. I'm an architect. I studied architecture, but I worked in it for a while, and then I started volunteering with Diaries of the Ocean at the same time. And then I started working with Diaries of the Ocean, and I kind of stopped working in architecture. Um, so over time, I became a youth coordinator and a project coordinator with Diaries. Since we are a small team, I am able to use my skills that I learned in architecture in my work because as a small team, we work on several tasks throughout the projects that we do, including like research, awareness campaigns, designing banners and posters, creating social media content, and handling finances even.
Okay,
Thank
that's
you.
great. Thank you. And Rawan, can you tell us also a bit
Uh,
about yourself?
my name is Rawan al Jamal. I'm a 25-year-old marine biologist. I was always passionate about the symbiotic relationship between humans and the marine ecosystem. So I actually got a bachelor's degree in biology and a master's degree in marine biology and ecology, both from the Lebanese University. I first volunteered for 3 years with Diaries of the Ocean before I became an active member. And at the same time, I actually got my open water and advanced scuba diver licenses. So at the moment, I am the marine biologist in the NGO, and I participate in related activities such as the identification of fish species, monitoring programs for species, awareness campaigns, producing GIS maps for beaches, and etc.
Okay. I see. Thank you very much. So both of you have been active in the NGO for a while, and
Yeah.
we'll be talking more about the details of your current work later. Until then, I would like to ask you if you could tell me more about the NGO itself, the mission behind it, when it was started, so when it was founded, if that's the correct word, and what different
Yeah.
disciplines you have in your team.
Okay. Sorry. So the NGO actually, I mean, it started off as a Facebook page by our founder, who is Gina Talij. She's a marine biologist as well. She started this Facebook page to share her passion for the marine life and share information about the marine life. And the page gained traction fast. So a lot of schools wanted her and the team to go give talks to the students and so on. And then it started off as an online platform to engage the students, educators, and stakeholders. Today, Diaries has grown into a volunteer-driven and women-led NGO. with a mission to raise awareness, educate local communities on on ocean literacy, and lead projects in marine conservation in Lebanon mainly. So our team is very diverse and is multidisciplinary. So first we have the marine biologists, which is Rawan mainly.
Okay.
We have environmental scientists, activists, journalists, and like one of our members used to be a marine biologist, and then she became a journalist. Even artists. So it's a wide range of skills to help us achieve our projects and achieve like the success in our projects. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much for this thorough explanation. And to get a better idea of your areas of intervention. So I already understood that originally you used to do a lot of raising awareness, and
Yeah,
that now the mission spreads to also awareness, but also the arts, also activism for the environment, also here for the marine ecosystem specifically. Can you
yeah,
tell us a bit more about the current activities or range of projects that you have? How has this expanded since the NGO started?
of course. So when I started working with the NGO, I was lucky to that we like start focusing more on like conservation and on ground projects, which I really love to do. So for example, the fish nurseries project in Amshit, in the port of Amshit, where we installed something called biohuts, which is like a steel structure with seashells inside, which creates an artificial habitat for the baby fish. So when you build a port, you damage the original habitat of the baby fish because you're pouring concrete. So this would replace the damaged habitat, and it's placed inside the port on in the shallows, like only like 1 meter deep, because this is where the juvenile fish live. So this was it just ended the project, and we were monitoring the progress, and me and Rawan. Um, a second project, which is sand dune restoration in a beach called Al Kharayeb in the south. Um, so restoring sand dunes are the first line of protection against uh, strong waves and anything that comes from the sea, the heavy
The
winds
sea
and so
level
on.
rise as well. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in this beach specifically, there are agricultural lands directly behind it. So we are also interested in protecting these agricultural lands from also the sea level rise and the salty winds and so on. Um, so we adopted the techniques, soft engineering techniques, which is just placing wooden fence along the sea, the beach, I mean, the seashore. And we work also on the vegetation that grows over there. So we work with a mashtal to grow a lot of this vegetation and to plant them again there when it starts to rain again. So this vegetation holds the dunes together, and that allows them to maintain their level. So
Okay.
the wooden fence would help the sand to trap the sand. So the wind transports the sand from the seashore, and it hits the wooden fence, and then it stays under the wooden fence. And then by planting the vegetation holds the sand where it is. Um, so also this vegetation, because of the vegetation, the sand dunes have their own ecosystem as well. So it's also like preserving this ecosystem. Um, and this project, our project, it was chosen. Uh, it was out of 22 selected projects out of 500 applicants. So it's we are proud of this. And it's not.
Okay. This is
It wasn't also a local poll. So it was an international poll as well.
Okay, this is amazing. Do you
Yeah,
plan to do dune restoration in other areas of Lebanon? Because growing up, I kind of
yeah,
thought that the natural landscape on the coast of Lebanon is hotel concrete and then the water.
yeah.
My question is actually the question behind my question is actually are there other areas of Lebanon where there were historically sand dunes and where this kind of rehabilitation can work?
So before we decided on the south, we had a few other options, but sometimes like the municipalities aren't helpful, and we face other issues, like just maybe political or other issues, where we need like local support to be able to do the project, and we don't get that. So um, mostly the sand beaches that are left are in the south. There are other, like very few others in other locations, which is why our project was in the south. Um, but in the future, maybe after the success of this project, other locations would be more open to helping us achieve like this project in other locations.
Okay, I really hope so, and I'm also excited to see how the ecosystem will evolve in the next few
Yeah,
years in your area of intervention. Very excited about
yeah,
this. Maybe
yeah,
the insect fauna and the bees, who knows?
yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
That
maybe.
would be very exciting to follow up on this. And
Exactly.
so that was the second current project you were telling us about.
Yeah,
Would you
and I
like to
also
tell us
want to,
about more? Yes, tell me.
yeah, yeah. I want to also add to this project something that wasn't maybe part of our original plan, but we noticed like sea turtle tracks along the beach when we were there, and from the locals, of course, they told us that they saw sightings of hatchlings going into the sea. So we wanted to raise awareness also about this to the locals of Al Kharayeb. So we did several trainings actually with Rami, and the trainings were practical and theoretical. So we did a theoretical training, and then we went on the ground, and Rami showed us and the locals how they could look for nests and find the nest, and how we can um, help conserve them and protect them from different hazards that could happen. And we successfully, like, no, the 12 nests successfully hatched and made it to the sea. So this
Okay,
we
this
see
is
also this as
great.
a nice achievement. Yes.
Of course, of course. This is something to be very proud of.
Yeah. And I would also like to add briefly about other projects that we've worked on. We work also on like invasive species. For example, the lionfish. There was a campaign called Eat the Lionfish, um, where we promote the fishing of this of the lionfish because it's invasive, it's harmful to the habitat and other fish, uh, because eats everything and nothing eats it. And at the same time, it's edible and it's tasty. So we told the fisherman you can fish it, and we there was a team who showed them how safely to fish it because it has venomous spikes on its back.
Mm.
And we asked the restaurants to sell it and people to buy it. So it was also a very successful campaign. And also we work on uh, like partially disaster management that is related to the sea. For example, the oil spills that happen. We just like call on the volunteers. We call on the government to act faster, and the volunteers to join us. And we go to the see ourselves and start like cleaning. There's a specific technique to do it, and we do it as much as possible, of course, because sometimes we need like professional intervention to do it. Uh, and finally, the ocean literacy, where we like it's how we started again. Like schools would call us to make to like spread awareness, give lectures about the ocean.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is
Yes, this is the,
a general, yeah.
in general, the current range of activities that you have.
Yeah.
Uh, the next question is, you have been doing all this and more for a while, and your activities have been evolving, and you're also active in trying to push for policies, for better policies for the marine environment in Lebanon. What are the challenges of being an NGO that does environmental activism in Lebanon, in a country that is both extremely diverse and extremely chaotic?
It's actually a very good question. Um, Lebanon hosts about 6% of the Mediterranean marine organisms, even though it covers less than 1% of the world's ocean surface. I don't know if a lot of people knows that, but
Okay.
it's yes, it's very important to highlight it because we have a very rich marine biodiversity in terms of fauna and flora. But unfortunately, this biodiversity is under many threats, especially anthropogenic ones caused by humans. Um, we have a lot of examples, unfortunately. So overfishing, illegal fishing practices, destroying their habitats because they use explosives. Sometimes they use nets with very small mesh size. We have, as you said, a lot of violations of the maritime public domain because, as you see on the shoreline, there are many constructions and resorts, which are all violations. Um, and most importantly, the lack of enforcement of environmental regulations. Like the regulations and the laws are already there, already written, already approved, but unfortunately, people don't abide by them. And the unstable political situation makes it actually an extreme challenge to implement projects in Lebanon. Like we always have to consider the safety and the political issues in Lebanon before we implement a project. And as Jane already mentioned, sometimes we lack local support. So it's quite a bit of challenge. And there's also sustaining a project after its end is also a major challenge because the economy is collapsing in Lebanon. So when the fund is over for this project, it's very hard to maintain it and sustain it for the future. Um, Despite this, there is a positive thing to this. This rich biodiversity and the enthusiasts who actually want to work for the benefit of their own country make it quite a good driver for finding unique opportunities for conservation work. Though it requires navigating the complex and often chaotic environment of the country. So it's not actually possible to implement the project, but we have to be very careful and we have to plan ahead for the challenges that we might face and the solutions for them.
Okay, so you are also an NGO that has to deal with both gathering knowledge and bettering the knowledge of the marine ecosystem, and also finding sometimes creative or crafty ways for it to still be protected. So for projects to become sustainable, which, as you say, is not very easy in a collapsing economy. And from what I see,
Yes.
because I've been following your socials for a while, you also have to fill the role of pushing for marine policies, wildlife conservation policies, sorry, more and more. Is this something that you did originally, or is this a need that started appearing later in the life of the NGO and that you started doing more and more?
As we actually started, when you start in an NGO, you start entering the field and you learn more about the field and you dive into it even more. So our needs change and the country's needs change. So when we identify them, when we identify the challenges, we always try to address them. So when we first started, we saw a lot of challenges and we saw a lot of lacking information in this field in the country. So we always try to advocate for stronger marine conservation policies. So we collaborate with governmental entities, universities, other NGOs, and international organizations to push for policy changes and ensure the enforcement of regulations that protect marine ecosystems in Lebanon. Because, as I said, the regulations are there, but people don't abide by them. And the most recent achievement for Diaries of the Ocean was actually working with MP Ahmed Al Khair, who submitted our 2 draft laws to the parliament. The first one aims to amend some legal provisions related to the protection of the marine environment, which would help reduce pollution in the Lebanese marine environment, which is a major challenge as well. And the second law aims to preserve the heritage and submerged antiquities and Lebanon's historical treasures. So this pioneering work was carried out in strong cooperation with our NGO, and it took great efforts to prepare the aforementioned draft laws, but it was a success. So we are very happy and we are very proud.
Okay, well, this is great. I'm also happy that you highlighted while speaking about your current projects an achievement that was from the line of work that you do in the restoration and an achievement in the more administrative and political part of your work. So this is great, and we are very proud of the work that you are doing. Keep going.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So now I usually jump onto a section where we ask you how others can get involved, and by others we mean the general public and governmental entities. So to start with the general public, what can people do, for example, for a start, if they see an injured animal washed up on the shore? This is a question I wrote because it's like I absolutely want to ask this. So how should people react if they see an injured animal on the shore?
Jane, would you like to answer that question?
Yes, sure. Well, if you see an injured animal, you should contact the local authorities or NGOs like our NGO, Diaries of the Ocean. There's Lebanese Wildlife, for example. Or you could contact the National Center for Marine Sciences. It is crucial to avoid handling or moving the animal unless instructed by professionals, and also to protect yourself.
Okay, so if people see an injured animal, as you have instructed, that washed up on the shore, they should call an official entity and not try to do anything themselves apart if they have explicit instructions. Now, since we're still in the rules of what we can do or not do safely on the shoreline, can you give us a quick list of to do and things not to do when on the beach in order to preserve the marine ecosystem and still enjoy a beach day?
Sure. So, okay, to-do list. Actually, in Lebanon, we would like to highlight that this year has been kind of hard in terms of currents. So a lot of people have been drowning. So the first thing on the to-do list is to familiarize yourself with the currents before going to the beach, especially when there are strong winds, and avoid going to the beach at all when there are warnings, because a lot of authorities are putting out warnings not to go, and people still go to the beach. So please avoid doing that. The second thing is to respect wildlife, like not to touch them, respect that this is their own habitat. Educate others about marine conservation. Please take your trash with you. And respect that the beach is for everyone, but also take action when you see any form of violation. Because we are often scared to point out when there are violations on the shoreline, but this is major and this is crucial because there are a lot of activists who are taking action towards this, and it will be beneficial for our ecosystem and ourselves if we stop these violations. I also would like to recommend to buy local fish caught within the legal sizes, not juvenile or very small fish, and frequent public beaches. They are way much better than private resorts anyway.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Yes. Do you
yeah.
have anything else in mind?
For the not to-do list.
Let's see.
Uh, yeah, we should avoid doing a lot of things when we are at the beach. We shouldn't disturb wildlife. We received a lot of videos encountering a sea turtle on the beach. So, and someone was holding it and was disturbing it. So please don't do that. Any encounter of a sea turtle, please leave it alone. Don't hold it, don't provoke it, or make loud noises when you are next to it. And when you are in a nesting site for turtles, like at the beaches in the south, please avoid using yellow and white lights because it might disturb them and it will change their direction. So when they hatch, they will not go to the beach. They will go to the east and they will die. As well for jellyfish, we encounter a lot of people who are afraid of jellyfish. But please do not pick it up and leave it to die on the shore because every animal has its role in the marine ecosystem. So please let the marine animals swim peacefully, and eventually they will go away. Do not litter, as we said, or take natural items from the beach, especially if you are snorkeling or diving as well. Um, كمان stop buying juvenile fish. We say the common name for that is the bizri fish and imported fish. And كمان an emphasis, please stop frequenting illegal resorts violating the public domain.
Okay,
So that's it.
so just out of curiosity, because I saw the number not very long ago, which is how much of the beaches in Lebanon are actually still public, so not privatized, but in some way, a rough
Uh,
estimation.
20%, I
actually,
think.
yeah, I think around 20%,
20%,
maybe even less,
uh,
a little bit.
20% don't yet have violations on them, but doesn't mean they are maybe very
Public.
accessible, public,
Yeah.
or yeah, very accessible.
Okay, I see. So we are
Yeah, so
really
it's a
working.
very small number.
Yes, yes, yes. We already have a very restricted number compared to the past.
True,
Yes,
yes.
it's a very small coast. It's like 220 kilometers in the whole country. So it's a very small shoreline. So 20% is actually a very high percentage.
Well, it's a very small shoreline,
It's,
but
it's
it's fully like it's packed with diversity. So that
yes,
is
exactly. So
impressive.
20%. I'm sorry, did I say it's a high? Yes, it's a high percentage, and no, it's not a good thing actually to have only 20% of beaches that
Yeah,
are not
Yes,
violated.
you
Yeah.
mean the percentage of the shoreline, the part of the
Yes.
proportion of the shoreline that has violations is extremely high.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you for the extensive list and of to do and not to do. And can people contact you or other competent NGOs or entities when they have questions about these things?
yes, of course.
Okay.
We'll share our social media at the end.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to ask you, so then I
Okay.
I
Yeah.
will link it under the posts
Okay.
for this episode on both Facebook and Instagram.
Yes. Okay. It's Diaries of the Ocean. It's simple, like for both.
Okay, I was able to find you pretty easily when I looked you up on
Yeah.
other platforms. So okay,
Yeah.
and the logo is recognizable.
True.
So how can the general public who would like to support you in your mission or do volunteering get involved? I answered the
Okay.
question half. I answered half of the question by saying volunteering, but how can the general public get involved?
Okay. I think first of all, it is the most important to follow the to do and not to do list, which we mentioned previously. They can also engage in awareness campaigns, volunteer with us when we have a call for volunteers, because not all of our projects are open to that. For example, our project in the south isn't very open to volunteers because it's in a dangerous location. Um, so, and also they can join cleanups and so on. Personally, we don't do a lot of cleanups because we believe they are uh, like short, they have a short-term effect, and we work more on long-term change. So more on a lasting impact. Like we raise awareness not to, for example, throw our trash and plastics in the sea rather than not doing that and cleaning, and then the next day the same garbage will be back on the seashore. So we faced that a lot.
Mm.
Yeah, so mainly that.
Okay, and again, if people want to contact you because they're interested in volunteering and in being more involved with you, they can contact you through your socials.
Yes, of course.
Sure.
Mostly on Instagram.
Okay, so mostly on
So
Instagram. Thank you.
yeah.
And what can governmental entities and other environmental NGOs do to help you in your mission?
Okay. So as Rawan said, the laws are already there. So what the governmental bodies can do is enforce the environmental laws and also provide funding for conservation projects. Because usually governments do that, and we usually get funds also from other governments for such projects. Also stop illegal permits and help us to fight the violations along the coast of illegal resorts and even like personal projects and houses. And in case a permit was given, to make sure that the people follow the regulations of the permit, because once someone gets a permit, they usually don't follow anything. They violate it. And for the NGOs, we already have a lot of partners. Help to have more partners to amplify our efforts, share our resources, and collaborate and like to make our effect bigger.
Okay. So there is still a bit of work to do, but
Yeah,
from what I understand, because you drove this point several times, the laws already exist, and what is needed now is mainly a push to get them enforced and respected.
true.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, and now to the closing section. What advice would you give to people who want to work in marine conservation? So this is interesting because you both have different backgrounds and both ended up contributing greatly to this through Diaries of the Ocean and also through personal work. I'm curious to know what advice each of you would give.
Actually, my first advice is to be many. Like, please don't think that this is a sector where you cannot contribute or that the country is hopeless. I mean, if we are working in Lebanon, please don't think like that, because a lot of work can be done and there are a lot of active people and enthusiasts who want to achieve goals in Lebanon. So please be many. Please explore this field. It's interesting. It's diverse. Um, I know that every country has its own challenges, but be prepared for that. It's quite an interesting process to face a challenge and to overcome it. So it's a great sense of achievement, and everyone would feel very proud that we are working for our own country. Um, so yes, this is the advice that I would say, that the milestones are never impossible to achieve, even if they take time. So please dive into this field more, because it's very interesting, and stay connected to the beach. Like, you can dive, you can snorkel, get to know your ecosystem, get to know where you are living and what you are using from nature and what nature is giving back to you. Because when you actually understand this, you'd be advocating for its protection even more, and you'd be more involved automatically without even understanding the reason. You should actually be more interested to work and to protect this environment. So that's my
Okay.
advice.
Thank you very much. And how
Jane?
about you? Jane?
Yes.
How about you? Yes.
I think Rawan covered mainly everything, but I would like to say that because we are in Lebanon and maybe we find this work a bit challenging, it is because we actually need it more here. So don't be demotivated to work here. And the most important thing is to be passionate. And because, like, for example, I didn't have the background in this field, but I was very interested, and I learned. I took courses myself and to like gain the knowledge. So yeah, this is mainly it.
Okay, well, thank you very much to both of you.
Thank you.
This was
Thank you.
this was very motivating. And well, very, very last questions. Would you like to give any closing ideas and anything else that comes to your mind to wrap up this interview?
So follow us on social media. Anywhere it's Diaries of the Ocean. And we want to thank all of our volunteers and partners that made our work possible, and that made our voice reach a bigger audience. Thank you.
Okay, well,
Yes, thank you,
thank you very
everyone.
much. Thank you, and thank you for both
Thank you.
of you for being here and for these very valuable insights. I really enjoyed recording this, and I hope I'll meet you in person very soon.
We hope so too.
We hope so too, and thank you for having us.
Yes.